So it is the end of another month, which means it is time for another wrap-up video. Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Today is my April wrap-up. It feels weird to be saying that because I'm actually filming this early because the end of April is going to be really busy for me and the beginning of May is also going to be really busy for me. So at the end of April, I'm going to Comic-Con. I'm very excited. I do this almost every year with my friends and we go down to Comic-Con and we go down to one of our Canadian conventions. I'm very excited to be going again and I love it every year. It's so much fun, but I'm in the middle of con crunch because I'm not exactly ready with everything I need to bring for costumes. Yes, I wear costumes. So with that, and then at the beginning of May, the first week in May is a family wedding, which I'm in. So that's going to be really busy as well, which reminds me I have some things I need to do for that. So yeah, it's going to get pretty busy. So I thought I would film my wrap up early. And I don't foresee myself finishing any books for the end of the month anyway. Plus I had just a fantastic reading month. I don't think I've rated anything lower than 4 stars. I think only one was 4-star, the rest was 5 stars. So without further ado, here are the books I read in April. So the first book I read, I finished Scarlet by Marissa Meyer. This is a reread for me. I just wanted to reread the books. So this is the first time I've reread Scarlet. I only gave it a 3-star rating when I first read Scarlet. And when I read it the second time, the things that bothered me, I think I blew out of proportion. Because when I read it the second time, none of the things bothered me. In fact, they seemed so more toned down than what I first imagined when I first read the book. So I think I went into it with a really picky, skeptical mind and just kind of blew everything out of proportion. And when I reread Scarlet the second time, I loved it. I loved it so much more than I did the first time. I caught so much more information. The characters of Wolf and Scarlet did not annoy me as much as they did the first time around. So I bumped it up from a 3-star rating to a 5-star rating because of how much I enjoyed the reread of it. The second book I read was an e-novella, and that is Of Dubious and Questionable Memory by Rachel McMillan. This is one of the Herringford and Watts Mystery Series novellas. I think this is the second novella, so I actually did read the novellas out of order, which is fine, because I've read the books in order so far. So I picked this up because it was on a sale. I was waiting for it to go on a sale. The third novella was free for a time period, so I pick up novellas when they're on like a really good deal. So the reason I read this out of order is because I was waiting for a good deal. In this, you have Jem and Miranda getting in an embarrassing situation, which causes Jasper and Ray to doubt their abilities to be female consulting detectives. Ray is scared for Jem's life and just her overall being, and Miranda is just insulted that people don't think she is a competent detective. So they kind of make a wager with Jasper and Ray, and they go off to the United States to solve a mystery. It was cute, it was funny, it had intrigue, and it had all the shenanigans that Miranda and Jem bring with them with their little adventures. I also enjoyed seeing more of Jasper and Miranda's relationship and Jem and Ray's relationship, just kind of kicking off and starting and developing their marriage relationship. Overall, I gave it a 5-star rating. It was cute, it was fun, it was fast, and I just enjoy these little mystery novellas that come in between the bigger storyline books. The next one I read, I picked up on a whim from the library. I saw it was new, I liked the cover, I knew it was a World War II YA, so I picked it up and was just blown away by it. Not initially blown away by it, but it's been sitting with me and kind of haunting me, and I just can't stop thinking about it after reading it. And that is Almost Autumn by Marianne Calhoun. And I'm probably saying it wrong because it is a Norwegian name, so I do apologize. Almost Autumn follows young 15-year-old Elsie as she is going for her first date to the picture show with the boy from her building that she has a crush on, Herman. She waits and waits, but Herman actually ends up standing her up. Now, from Herman's side of the story, he can never tell Elsie why he stood her up because he is part of the Norwegian underground. So this takes place as Norway is just kind of falling under Nazi occupation. There are already some of the laws being implicated, like having to mark all their papers with J's. They don't have to wear any stars or outer symbols on their garments yet, but they know something is brewing and something is happening. There's an urgency to get away, but no one seems to be motivated to do so. So in this storyline, you follow Elsie's perspective, you follow Herman's perspective, you also follow Elsie's father and her older sister Sonia's perspectives, as well as one of their neighbors. So it had so many perspectives. I did do a full-length review on it, and I think what blew me away was just the writing of it and how it wrote emotionally. So you didn't get the physical actions as they were happening, you got the emotional responses to those actions that you kind of had to fill in the blank of what was happening to them as they were just experiencing what was going on around them, and that's what just sat with me afterwards. Like I said, I did a full-length review on this. I gave it a 5-star rating. It wasn't emotionally while I read it, but it has been a story that has just sat with me. So I really enjoyed it. Like I said, gave it a 5-star rating. I do highly recommend it, and I did a full-length review, which I will link somewhere here for you guys to check out. The next book I read was the Coffee&Chapters and Christian YA Book Club Pick of the Month, and that was A Time to Die by Nadine Brandeis. So Melanie and I were researching books to pick for our next couple months, and we came across the Out of Time series by Nadine Brandeis, and we're like, why haven't we picked this yet? So we picked it, and I loved A Time to Die. It was so good. The pacing in this book is fantastic. So we follow young Pervin, and she lives in this dystopian world where everybody is matched with a clock. And when your clock zeroes out, you die. So you know how many days and minutes and seconds you have to live your life for. Pervin and her twin brother are sitting in their last year, and Pervin is feeling that she has wasted her life. And then it just kind of shoots off on this fantastic, crazy adventure. It was just mind-blowing of everything that happens to this girl, but everything happened for a reason and sort of wrapped up really well in the end. There was a massive cliffhanger, so I'm very excited for the second book. But it was fantastic, you guys. The writing in this is fantastic. The pacing in this is amazing. I didn't feel like anything was slow moving at any points. It just kept me going and wanting to know what was happening to her, and it was just phenomenal. I highly recommend this book, and Melanie and I will be talking about it more in great detail on our live show, which we have yet to pick a date for, as per usual. So I'll let you know as soon as I do know it, so follow us on social media. We have Twitter, I have Instagram, and Goodreads, so any of those will be posted the date and time for that. Overall, I gave Out of Time a 5-star rating. Solid, great book. Loved it. Fast read. And I read it on an ebook too on my phone, which I hate reading ebooks, especially on my phone. So I read it really quick, which is amazing for an ebook for me. The next book I read was another reread, and that was Cress by Marissa Meyer. So this is the 3rd book in the Lunar Chronicles. It was my favorite of the series so far, but now that I've bumped Winter up, it's pretty on par with the rest of the series. They're all fantastic. And I missed so much information in this book because there's so much happening, and I just kind of excitedly fast read it. So I missed a lot of things. I missed some fantastic character descriptions, because when I read Wires and Nerves, I was like, they look like that? That didn't match what I thought. And then when I did read it, I'm like, okay, that's closer to what they drew than what I thought. So it definitely missed a lot of information when I first read these books, and I'm so glad I'm rereading them and picking them up again. So I gave it a 5-star rating again. Loved it. Fantastic. And hopefully I'll get to Winter soon. The last book I read this month, like I said, it was a fantastic reading month. I read a total of 6 books. All of these were 5-star ratings, except for this one. This one was a 4-star rating. But if I were to read it again, I probably would bump it up to a 5-star rating. Just, it left me kind of confused at the end. And that was Hunted by Megan Spooner. So this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and I believe it is set in medieval either Russia or Romania with some of the cultural feelings of it. They didn't really specifically say. I think they said at one point Russia, but I'm not too sure where the setting is, but that kind of has that Russian setting feeling to it. So it follows Yiva, which I'm probably saying wrong again. So it follows Yiva and her sisters, and Yiva has just a longing for a different life than the life they have set up for, but she doesn't know what she wants. She just knows that something is missing in her life. When her father is a merchant falls to ruin, he goes back to his old life as a hunter and moves her and her sisters to the edge of the Black Forest to his hunting lodge. There starts his mad and determined hunt for the creature known as the Beast. So a lot of that adventure kind of ensues. Yeva gets pulled into this. Her nickname is Beauty, so you do have Beauty and the Beast. And it was just a fascinating story. And the way the writing was, I think it was the writing more than the characters for me that kind of drove the story, because it had such a gradual pull on the flow of the book and the writing. And the pacing of this was just so gradual, it just really pulled you along very well. And that's what I really enjoyed about this book, because the first little bit I was like, meh. Middle of the book, I'm like, okay, I really need to know what's going on. And the end of the book, you just wanted to get it done because you wanted to find out how this all wrapped up. So the pacing and the build for everything was just perfection for the writing style. The only thing that left me a little confused in why it got a 4-star rating instead of a 5-star rating is because there's a lot of metaphor feeling to this, of kind of more of a backstory and more of just a metaphorical storyline behind it that just got a little bogged down, a little overwhelming toward the end especially. And I read a little bit of the acknowledgements, and Megan Spooner kind of considers this an autobiography of how she was feeling during a certain time in her life. So that feeling of wanting to fill that void, of wanting something more in your life, which I really enjoyed because I feel that quite a bit in my life, and I related to that very well, but it got lost in a lot of metaphors for me, and so I got really confused at the end. But I definitely want to pick this book up again, take a little bit more of time with it. I couldn't with this time because it was a library book, but I want to take my time with it the next time I read it and get some more out of it. But it was a beautifully written book. I did go into this book with low or medium expectations, which I do with most library reads because I'm kind of trying them out before buying them. So I went with like low medium expectations and was just wonderfully surprised, which I really liked, which is why I gave it a 4-star rating. So highly recommend it for a good fairy tale retelling as well. This is another one I'm planning on doing a full-length review, so stay tuned for that. Currently, right now, I am reading Winter. I doubt I will be done before the end of April just because of how busy it's going. So you might see this in my May wrap up, but I'm almost 200 pages in, and I'm so happy to be back with these characters. There's just so much fun once they're all together. So I'm really excited. Definitely not going to be done before the end of April, but that's what I'm currently reading right now. So those are all the books that I read in the month of April. Let me know in the comments below if you have read any of these books and what your thoughts were about them. I love hearing about some of the books you guys have loved this month, so let me know in the comments below. I'd love to chat with you. So as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!